What up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of EBC Sports International. I'm your host, EJ Gonzalez, coming to you from Alexandria, Virginia. We have another exciting episode for you tonight. And before we get into our main topics, allow me to introduce to you our panelists, our duo of panelists for the evening. First, from Washington, D.C., we have Ken Cruz. What's up, man?
Yo, LA a mixed bag right now. Dodgers out, Lakers all over the place, and Rams awesome.
Good, very good. Very good, Rams. Yeah, sorry about your other LA teams, bro. But
Nice.
from Santa Rosa Laguna, Philippines, let's welcome back Ben Bernaldez. Ben, what's up, man?
What's up, EJ, and to our fans, welcome to the show. An exciting program for today. The Packers beating the Cardinals, the unbeaten Cardinals.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, the Chicago Bulls still being exciting in this opening season.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to get into that in a little bit. And first, thank you, everyone, for joining us this week. And just want to remind our viewers, we are by no means experts, rather a group of sports fans who express our own opinions very passionately. Now, before we get into our main topics today, we have some updates to share with you. First, Ken has an update on the World Series. Ken, what's going on over there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. As mentioned, the Dodgers are out, and so are the Red Sox. But we have the Atlanta Braves and the Houston Astros tied at 1-1 in the 2021 World Series. The first two games were in Houston, while the next three games will be in Atlanta, including tonight, followed by two games in Houston again if the series gets that far. Now, the Braves upset the Astros in Game 1, winning 6-2, while Houston came back firing in Game 2 to win 7-2. Braves ace pitcher Charlie Morton broke his leg, actually, in Game 1 and is out for the rest of the World Series, while Atlanta's co-ace Max Fried gave up 6 runs in Game 2 to the Astros. Tonight, for the first time in over 20 years, the Atlanta Braves will play at their home ballpark. Ian Anderson gets the starting pitching job for the Braves tonight, who are up 1-0 in the bottom of the fifth. Let me just make sure. Yep, 1-0, bottom of the fifth, 2 on, 2 outs. As we speak, Atlanta does have a home crowd advantage, having won 10 of their last 11 games at Truist Park, including 5-0 this postseason, also including winning 3 games to the Dodgers at home, including the series clinching win, Game 6. What the Braves lack is recent World Series experience and success, both of which are on the resumes of many of Houston's players, including Jose Altuve, who had his 22nd career postseason home run in Game 2, tying him second all-time in baseball behind Manny Ramirez's 29 postseason homers. Back to you, EJ.
Thanks, Ken. Well, lastly, before we go into our main topics, Ben has an update on Carlos Ulo's success in gymnastics world championships. Ben?
Carlos Yulo became the new champion in the vault competition of the FIG Artistic Gymnastics World Championship after his near-flawless routines in the final in Kitakyushu, Japan, won him the gold. Bouncing back from a 5th-place finish in his pet event, the floor exercise final, Yulo scored an average of 14.916 points in the vault final, enough to rule the 8-man field and take home the championship. In his first vault, he went for a Kasamatsu routine, which earned him 14.8 points. He then performed a Dragulesque routine on his second, which he landed almost perfectly, earning him a 15.033 for the aforementioned average. Hidenobu Yokonizura of Japan took home the silver after averaging 14.866 points in his 2 jumps, while Andrei Medvedev of Israel won the bronze with an average of 14.649. Meanwhile, Yula scored 15.300 on parallel bars, squeezed him into second place between gold medalist Hu Shuwei of China, score of 15.466, and bronze medal Shi Kong of China, 15.066. Yulo, who said had a left elbow injury, prevented him from competing in the all-around in Kitakyushu, Japan, and also winning the best 2 events he said is satisfying and motivating. The win also rebounds Yulo after missing the Tokyo 2020 Olympic finals on the floor exercise, the event where he won the world title in 2019. In another story, EJ, Vietnam is looking to begin the 31st Southeast Asian Games by middle of May next year. This was confirmed during the SEA Games Federation meeting. Philippine Olympic Committee President Bambo Tolentino proposed during the online meeting for the event to formally open by May 12. Originally scheduled for November 21st to December 2nd this year, the SEA Games still set to take place in Hanoi was moved to May due to coronavirus disease 2019 pandemic. Traditionally being done every odd number year ever since its first staging in 1959, the 31st edition would mark the first time the event will happen in an even number year. A total of 520 events from 40 sports will take place in Hanoi with the Philippine team participating in 39 of the sports. However, it is expected that the SEA Games will return to its usual every odd number year scheduled by the 32nd edition, with Cambodia finally getting chance to host the Biennial. That's it for me, EJ. Back to you.
Thanks, Ben, for both of those updates. Well, that's it for this week's sports news. And after the break, we'll dive into our topic, starting with the NBAs. Stay right where you are, everyone. We'll be right back.
Makabuluhang talakayan.
Sapat na po ba yun? Papasok yung 30% sa indoor, 50% sa outdoor, para to even break even?
Ilan pong mga negosyo ang nagsara po dahil dito po sa pandemya?
Malalim na komentaryo.
Ngayon, sinasabi ang essential goods and services. Pero nakita naman po natin sa Dolomite Beach. At may time clock yung mga bata doon.
Umaapaw sa impormasyon.
Ano ba ngayon ang allotted budget per voter?
Yung hindi daw bakunado po ng mga empleyado, hindi sila pinapasweldo.
Sweldo, no?
Oras!
Pero hindi rin nagpapahuli sa kakulitan.
Merong nag-file for the presidency. Hinimok daw siya ng mga alien. At ang kanyang plataforma po ay palakasin ang Wi-Fi.
At ito si Ali magde-demonstrate paano mag-swimming na may face mask.
Kaya, nood na kina Ali Soto at Pati Daza sa ASPN. Ano sa palagay nyo?
Kung kayo po ay may pinagdadaanan, daanan nyo lang. Huwag niyong tambayan.
Lunes hanggang Biyernes, alas 8 hanggang alas 10 ng umaga.
Oras, alas 9:26 na po ng umaga at nagbabalik po ang ASPN.
Mapapanood sa Net25 at mapapakinggan sa DZEC, Radyo Aguila at Eagle FM 95.5.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Thanks for sticking with us. Again, I'm EJ Gonzalez, and it is the best time of the year, folks. Last Tuesday, the NBA officially tipped off for the 2021 season, and we're now 1 week into the season. Now, the Bulls were off to a hot start and started 4-0 for the first time in 25 years. That's back when Jordan was still the face of the league, guys. So they were handed their first loss, though, last night in a close battle against the New York Knicks, who are also surprisingly doing very well to start off the season. Well, Ken, I want to ask you about the Chicago Bulls. How impressed are you by the new look Chicago Bulls? And do you think that they should be considered as NBA title contenders this year?
Yeah, man, that's really, really, really early.
Hey, man.
But I mean, I get it. we have to have very sensationalist topics. I mean, yes. To answer your first question, absolutely, very impressed. They've looked great through even that loss, just their first 5 games. Really, really solid defense. I believe let me see here. Defensive rating 4th in the NBA right now, which is pretty awesome. I mean, I think a lot of that has to do with their Power 5, Lonzo Ball, DeMar DeRozan, obviously Zach LaVine, who's like coming off an amazing gold medal run in the Olympics, Vuce Main, and then you have your NBA champion, Alex Caruso. So, I mean, it's a solid starting 5, but I mean, like it's a tough road. I mean, they just lost Patrick Williams for 4 to 6 months. I believe he's set to have surgery, and so that's a big loss for them. I mean, and this team is really injury prone. I mean, look at the players that you have on this team. Lonzo Ball, always hurt. Zach LaVine, always hurt. Vuce Main, always hurt. And same with Alex Caruso. He's hurt like a couple times during the course of any given season. And that's, I think, where their success is going to be relying on is how healthy. I mean, that's with any team, right? But I mean, especially a young team like this. And let me just read off their schedule coming up. And I think this will really truly show the like if the Bulls are legit or not. Tomorrow, Jazz. Then Celtics, 76ers back-to-back, the Nets, Mavericks, Warriors, Clippers, Lakers, Trailblazers, Nuggets, Knicks.
Wow.
These are all literally playoff teams that they're going to be playing back-to-back to back-to-back-to-back. And so if they are able to squeeze out even just a 500 out of this, I think that they'd be legitimate, at least playoff contenders. They can be this season's Atlanta Hawks, because that's kind of what happened last year, right? Nobody expected the Hawks to make such a deep playoff run. But, I mean, if the Bulls stay healthy, if they stay aggressive like what they're doing, they're playing team, unselfish ball. And, you know, having an established star player like DeMar DeRozan, who is like, you know, allergic to 3-pointers, but, you know, has one of the best mid-range games in the NBA. Having him, like, you know, a seasoned vet like him on the team really does help. And as I mentioned, like, you know, what the Lakers are missing right now, and I know we're going to talk about that later, but what they're missing is Alex Caruso. And Alex Caruso, I mean, like, he's all memed out as like the quote unquote GOAT, right? But I mean, like, what he brought to that Lakers team was tenacity and just an overall hustle that a lot of players, for some odd reason, aren't willing to do. And I think that's what he brings to this team, is that like ability to like just instantly bring the intensity up on the floor, get those like 50-50 chance balls. And then you have Lonzo Ball, who's like the most willing passer. A lot of his assists aren't even direct assists; they're hockey assists, right? He'll pass it all the way long, full court. He'll do, you know, behind the back. He'll like get all the way to the rim by himself, and then he'll pass it out. You know, like, and then obviously he has a really polished 3-point shot now. I mean, it's a really solid team, but as I mentioned, you know, like they've already lost one of their big pieces in Williams for potentially the rest of the season. But you know, it's if they maybe just add another piece, either before this trade deadline or early on this season, to replace Patrick, and then you know, stay healthy. I think they'll make a solid run. I really do.
Yeah, definitely, dude. I mean, I like some of your takes were super surprising, though. 4th in the league in defense, right? Coming into the season, when you think about it, right, they have this new look, but you get DeMar DeRozan, which was the addition, Lonzo Ball, Alex Caruso. Lonzo Ball is probably one of the best defenders, I think, in the league. I think he's very underrated when it comes to his defense. But aside from that, Vucevic, Zach LaVine, Caruso, even DeMar DeRozan, these guys are not known for their defense. And for them to be 4th in the league right now in defensive rating, I think is very highly impressive. You also mentioned Zach LaVine. He's injury prone, and right now he's actually dealing with some issues with his left thumb, I believe.
Yep.
Right? Yeah.
Yep.
So he's deciding to play through it. We'll see if that's going to bite the Bulls in the back, later down the road. But they've looked impressive, and rightfully so. We were all excited in the offseason when they assembled this team. But Ben, I wanted to ask you as well. I wanted to get your impression on the Chicago Bulls. Do you think they're legit, man? I mean, how impressed were you with their first 5 games to start off the season?
Well, with the new roster and very exciting players, I was really amazed and really made me root for the Bulls this season. I've been the Warriors fan, and with the rising of new stars in the Chicago Bulls, I probably be rooting for them as well. And hopefully Warriors and the Bulls will face in the finals this year. And
but hey,
that's my prediction.
That's a good. I mean, Warriors, they have also gotten off to a hot start, so I wouldn't be surprised. The Bulls, I would be surprised, but the Warriors, I wouldn't be surprised, especially. We'll get into that a little bit, but let's go on to our next topic real quick, Ben. James Harden, the man who led the league in free throw attempts over the last couple of years, right? He's experiencing some tough love from the refs this year, as well as a lot of players. That includes Trae Young, who makes a lot of the, their shots from the free throw line. Now, Harden has attempted recently less than 5 free throw attempts in 5 consecutive games for the first time since March of 2011. That was before the guy even had a beard. So, Ben, I wanted to ask you, man, how do you feel about the new implementation of these rules, about this foul baiting, that the refs are swallowing their whistles and letting the guys play through it? What do you think about the change, and do you think James Harden will be able to adjust to them?
Well, EJ, James Harden is the new poster boy for this new rule in the NBA. We all know that he is also ranked in the highs in the free throw. The NBA made a significant rule change during the offseason that disallowed players from leaning into defenders and relying on non-basketball moves to draw foul calls. Now, some players definitely will be impacted by this change, and one of them is James Harden, who has made a living by drawing fouls and addressed the changes. Now, the biggest reason for for me, this is going to impact Harden. But I also noticed, Harden is failing to score efficiently for a variety of reasons. But it's easy to point to his lack of free throws is the main culprit. Harden has been the league's most reliable free throw generator for years. But this season, he's only getting to the line 3 times per game as recently as the 2019-2020 season. Harden was drawing 11.8 free throws attempts per game. So that's a lot compared to this season. This isn't really a coincidence. I think the NBA made it the point and also an emphasis over the offseason to no longer reward offensive players who grift their way into shooting fouls. And Harden has always the biggest poster child for this type of free throw production. And also, I also want to point out, if you notice how he plays right now, he's sluggish, and I think he's really out of shape. And he made also a comment that he did not have enough time during the offseason to train.
That's right.
Because he is still in a recovering period with his injury. But regardless, I think this is going to impact James Harden's production and how he will contribute for the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah, 100%. And I think the rest of the league is also trying to adapt to this new rule change. I personally, as a fan, though, of watching basketball, love that they are taking this. I think watching the Olympics during the summer really changed the perspective of the league and was like, man, especially during those times where Team USA was losing a lot, it was because they were trying to bait those fouls. And now the NBA has made that same rule change. So, the best of the best will adapt. And I think James Harden will eventually adapt. Instead of trying to draw fouls, he needs to just focus on finishing at the rim or finishing his shot And if they blow the whistle, they blow the whistle. But I mean, I love the new change, and I hope that they continue to keep it up throughout the rest of the season. Now,
surprise updates, guys. Hold on.
What's up? What's up?
Nets just beat the Pacers tonight, 105-98. And guess how many free throws James Harden shot? 19. So that was very short-lived. I just let the conversation go because I wanted to make sure that I didn't break, what you guys prepared. But just wanted to let you guys know that James Harden had 29 points, 8 assists, 8 rebounds, and shot 16 for 19 from the free throw line today.
Wow,
so it was short-lived, but I mean there are highlights already that are up on Reddit, showing that he did get a crazy foul. Earlier that wasn't called. So like it's he is forcing the situation and still not getting calls. So the NBA has to do, they put this new rule on where they're not going to do foul baiting, but at the same time too, it's not 90s ball where everyone is getting a call except for James Harden. He's gonna be the number one guy that the refs are going to be looking at, but you can't also swallow your whistle when guys are hacking him. So the thing with James Harden is that he's thick, he's sturdy, he's strong, and so any guard that's guarding him is gonna have a hard time, especially when he takes the ball in and he forces that situation. And that's exactly that's what I'm guessing he did tonight, and that's why he probably got all these free throws. But at the same time too, like it's the refs are swallowing the whistles on a lot of his drives, and so there has to be some sort of like happy medium where
there's a balance.
You're not giving him like those like bait fouls, but you're also giving him fouls that he deserves when he is getting hacked, or else this is 1985 all over again. Right. Kurt Rambis getting clothesline. By the Celtics.
Well, I mean, if it was last season, the dude probably would have shot 30 free throws tonight if he had.
Easily.
If he had 20. Right.
I think what he's doing is the smart decision. He's forcing the referees to make a decision and having them have to have these conversations outside of the game
which is true.
Well, that's what Shaq did, right? It's kind of just like, all right, well, so how many fouls are they going to call on Shaq, whether it be offensive or defensive? How many fouls is he going to get? Because literally every single time Shaq goes up for a dunk, someone's grabbing him, right?
That's true.
And so I mean, Shaq just all Shaq did was just say I don't care who's on me, I'm just going to dunk this ball. And I think that's essentially the mindset that James Harden's doing now. Is that I'm going to take this in and I'm going to force these refs to call something. So I think that's a smart decision.
Yeah, and so I mean, as much as James Harden is adapting, the rest of the refs are also adapting to these new roles. So again, you force their hand, they're going to have to blow their whistle at some point. And if you're a master at drawing fouls like James Harden is, his average might take a slight dip, but he should still be, I think, the leading foul free throw shooter for the season, right? All right. Well, James Harden. Well, the second game of opening night. Let's take it to the Western Conference. Featured the new look Lakers, and the Golden State Warriors. Now we got to see the new look Lakers in action, and there were some bright spots, but in the end, Steph Curry outshined everyone, finishing with a triple-double in a 121-114 victory. Now, 1 week in, the Warriors are the top team, or were the top team in the Western Conference. I think they just found their first loss of the season. But the Lakers, they still continue to struggle with their most recent loss coming to the hands of the rebuilding Oklahoma City Thunder, who's only won one game this season, and that's against the Lakers. Now, Ben, I want to talk about the Warriors real quick. They've been successful so far this season, and they're still missing not only James Wiseman, but more importantly, Klay Thompson, the other Splash brother. Now, what's the ceiling for the Warriors this season? I think you touched on this earlier, them getting to the finals. But once they get these two starters back, how many games will these guys win for the season?
All right. First of all, the Warriors had a great start, winning their first 4 games. Also excited to see beating the Lakers in the opening game. And the chemistry and the unselfishness and the depth of the roster this year is somewhat similar to the 2014-2015 Golden State team. although without Klay Thompson still recovering from his injury. And this is probably the most optimistic and I have felt about the Warriors since Kevin Durant left. Now, whether it was due to bad injury luck or limited practice time because of COVID guidelines last year, I know they felt that they were unprepared and stale. The coaches put players in roles that didn't maximize their strength, possibly out of necessity, and we've seen that. And every game, Steph was doing his best to win in spite of it. He's really carrying the team. Draymond Green as well. However, the season is different because the Warriors brought in new assistant coaches like Kenny Atkinson, Jamal Malala, and Dejan Milojevic to focus on player development. While new additions to the roster are great fits too, I think it's fresh. There's a fresh set of eyes in the coaching staff that they have the ability to identify and integrate what their players do best on the court. Will be a huge part of their success this season. Also, I'm excited about their bombs away offense and all the outside shooting. We've seen Wiggins becoming a two-way threat, and everyone is shooting from the outside, from the three-point area. I'm also concerned about their lack of rim defense. Maybe if James Wiseman will be healthy, there's going to be a big help for that. But the defense should be still strong. Losing Ken Bazemore and Kelly Oubre, perimeter defense is offset by also losing their sky-high foul rates. And it's hard to know what to expect from the young players, but I'm looking at Moses Moody's ability to get minutes, Jonathan Kuminga's for being supercharged, Eric Paschal and Wiseman improving greatly with this extra year of seasoning, and Draymond Green really yelling at them on defense. Now we'll see. This year is going to be a great improvement from last season. Their offense and also the defense, and hoping they get more than enough to be in the contention for the finals this year. Now I'm really hoping that they will be in the top 5 and hopefully be in the playoffs and also in the finals.
Yeah, with the way that they're playing, I think it's hard to root against the Warriors, especially with the experience that they have. And especially once they get back Klay Thompson, Stephen Curry's running mate, I think sky's the limit for them, definitely. Let's go ahead and take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about the Western Conference, and then we'll get into some NFL talk. So don't go anywhere, guys. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back.
Television has always been a constant source for news and entertainment. Sa panahon ng pandemya, ang telebisyon pa rin ang pangunahing pinagkukunan ng impormasyon ng maraming mga Pilipino saan mang panig sila ng mundo, mula sa presyo, usapin sa politika, sa pagninegosyo at syempre sa paboritong mga hosts at artista. However, social media sites and streaming platforms have been gaining traction with clickbait articles and binge-worthy shows. Ano nga ba ang sekreto sa loob o sa likod ng TV broadcasting sa Pilipinas? Open for Business is privileged to have none other than the star maker and ratings master herself, Miss Wilma Galvante, to discuss the secrets and the future of TV broadcasting.
Every little show that I conceptualize now hanggang sa mabuo siya. Kada umaga, ASPN, yung the same excitement and the same intensity. Every show is a new show.
All these in this episode of Open for Business.
Kaisa niyo po kami sa pagtupad ng tungkulin.
Desde Infinimo Cruz, del Distrito Eclesiástico de España,
¡Feliz cumpleaños po, hermano Eduardo V. Manalo! ¡Le queremos mucho!
Let's watch EBM Awards 2021. October 31 is Sunday
at 6 p.m. Philippine Standard Time.
Don't miss it!
All right, welcome back, everyone. Now, we can't go to the next topic without giving Ken the opportunity to talk about his Los Angeles Lakers. And I wanted to get his take, too, because it hasn't been a very hot start for them. Ken, man, the Lakers not been doing so good. How concerned should they be? And how have you felt with how they've looked so far?
It's been tough. It really has been. And I think that is expected, right? With three primary ball handlers in LeBron James and then Russell Westbrook. And then you also have Rajon Rondo. Those guys need the ball in their hands to be successful. They can't just stand or cut or stand in the 3-point line and shoot a jumper. That's not their game. And the thing with Russell Westbrook is I think he has this profound respect for LeBron James. I mean, LeBron's an all-time GOAT, right? And so it's one of those things where I think with that respect, like with both of them on the court, especially the first couple of games, you saw that Westbrook was deferring too much to LeBron, and that was a problem. And that caused like Westbrook to be like just out there shooting threes or trying to do like a short range jumper, which is not his game. He's not being aggressive, and that's what really affected him. And then kind of a silver lining of LeBron James getting like a tweaked ankle because someone fell on him again. LeBron James sat out that game against the Spurs, and also with the OKC Thunder, and Westbrook became Westbrook. But the hard thing with Westbrook is that you get the best Brook and the worst Brook sometimes in the same game. And in the game versus the Spurs, he really shined, and that led to that overtime win with Anthony Davis like going off too. But like that game the other day where they lost to OKC after having like a 20+ point lead, that was absolutely disgusting. I mean, I stopped watching at the half because I was like, okay, they got this. I'm going to go play volleyball. And then after I was like, is this score for real? Like absolutely disgusted, make me sick. I wanted to throw up. Like Westbrook getting that nasty quadruple double with the turnovers. It's just like, what are you doing? And then I mean, like it's just really, really odd to see like someone like kill it and then like not at the same in the same game. And that's the thing. And I think that's what the difference is with Alec with LeBron James and with Westbrook is that Westbrook like LeBron's like literally one of the smartest players of all time on the court, and Westbrook is that engine. And what's hard with him is that sometimes he'll just like push the ball and then not have a plan and just like do a really, really weird move, like a really unsmart move, and it's just it really is a detriment to his team. And is there time for this for them to right the ship? Yes, there really is. I mean, like think of it. We're only in the first 5 games of the season. Like their schedule. Let's see their schedule. They have the Cavs tonight, and then the Rockets twice, right?
Oh, easy.
And then the Thunder again, right? So these next 4 games are against like bottom barrel teams. So this is a good time to like retool, work out the kinks, and hopefully by the time they face the Blazers next Saturday, they'll be ready, because it's like it. Yes, they have time, but you want to get anything that the Lakers do is going to be magnified, and that's what's tough, right? Is that when you have like a world-class organization like the Los Angeles Lakers, everything is under a microscope. And
LeBron James there.
yeah, exactly. Any team with LeBron, and that's what's also tough, like with LeBron James, like you're expected to win. And then the last thing I wanted to bring up, I know this is long-winded, but I don't know how long Anthony Davis like is going to be able to play the way that he plays, man. It's just like every single day, every single game, it looks like he has 2 season-ending series. season-ending injuries every game. Like, and it's just
Right.
like I get scared every time he lands. I get scared every time he jumps. It's just like he's really awkward with his body, but like, you know, he's literally on the court. Anytime he's on the court, he is one of the top 5, top 10 best players in the NBA. It's just how long can you stay on the court? And that's my big concern, is that like with a team this old, they're going to need for him to perform during the regular season. And with the ball being in his hands and the ball and him needing to bang in the paint, that's extremely dangerous for a player that's so injury prone like Anthony Davis. And that's where I'm really concerned. I don't know what the season has. And I said the Bulls' success all depends on, you know, the health status of their main 5. Like literally the Lakers' success depends on the health status of 2 players, Anthony Davis, LeBron James, in that order. And it's just tough because, you know, like that one game against the Spurs, Carmelo went off, right? I think it was 28 points. And then the next game he went for like, or was it the game before that? But like he went for 28 points and then he scored like 5 points, right? It's just like, and that's what's hard with old guys, you know, like Dwight Howard's going to have like a good game. DeAndre Jordan's going to have a good game. And then like they're going to disappear for 4 or 5 games because you're old. And like, it's not like when you're young anymore. Unless you're LeBron James, you know, like LeBron James is that like Tom Brady of the NBA where, you know, they age, like it's just amazing. Like they're able to be this old and be this good. It's just an anomaly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so I'm a huge Westbrook fan, and I've been watching him. Again, he was with the Wizards last season. So
right.
I know the frustrations of him being at his best and him being at his worst. Now, I always said that if Russell Westbrook was paired up with a top center of the league, because he makes the job of the centers a lot easier. If Anthony Davis is able to do that pick and roll offense with Russell Westbrook, and they get that down pack, I think there's going to be an unstoppable Russell Westbrook and LeBron James. And this is the time for them to figure it out. While LeBron James is out with this injury, they get to figure it out. And when LeBron comes back, maybe you consider having Russell Westbrook come off the bench, just so that there's not so many ball handlers on the floor at the same time. And I think that's up to
Frank preserve Vogel LeBron James.
Yes, and for Frank Vogel to figure out that rotation, because I think that was one of the struggles that Scott Brooks had last season, was that rotation with Russell Westbrook, knowing when and when not to put him on the floor. But let's go ahead and start talking NFL. Officially 1/3 through the regular season as Week 7 concluded this past weekend. And this is the time when we start to see the teams really pull away from the rest of the league to establish themselves as Super Bowl contenders. Now, let's take a look at the records. I mean, look, the Cardinals, they were handed their first loss of the season after a 6-0 start. And it looked like a game that they could have won against the Green Bay Packers. So, Ken, do you believe that the Cardinals are going to be able to keep it up and, you know, end up with the best record in the NFL?
Well, that's where it's tough, right? I mean, like the last play of that game was really odd against the Packers yesterday. Like that last play interception where AJ Green didn't turn around and
not Murray's fault.
And then Kyler Murray's hurt too. But supposedly it's not a big injury. I mean, he just limped off the field. Like, and JJ Watt has season-ending injury potentially for his shoulder. They're not ruling him out completely, but I mean, that's the anchor of their defense. So those are big question marks on the future success. And that's kind of like what it is with football, right? I mean, it's not who's hurt, it's how hurt are you? Yes, they started off the season awesome. And yes, they're doing amazing and way better than anyone's expected. They beat some big teams, including the Rams, right? But like I think their strength of schedule is extremely favorable for them to do very well. I mean, they have 9 games left, and only 3 of these teams are over 500 at the moment. That's the Rams, or 2 actually, the Rams and the Cowboys. Everyone else is under 500. So they can go literally 7 and 9 for these next 9 games, and that's essentially that might put them at the top of their conference, or I mean, at least the top of their division, unless the Rams continue to be what the Rams are. I mean, yes, they lost against the Cardinals, but the Rams do have them again in Arizona, December the 13th, so they can tie it up for their season matchup. But you know, Kyler Murray is legit. Like, he is like Russell Wilson plus. You know, like he just like he has an amazing arm. He's extremely squirmy. Knows when to run, knows when to pass. I mean, like he has just a really high IQ. I think you saw commercials, right? After he got drafted from college about like, oh, is he too small? You know, is he gonna have like that success that you need when you're like a 6'5" quarterback? But I mean, like, if you saw this guy play in college, like, you knew that this guy is going to be a star. He has star quality written all over him, and it's finally starting to pay its dues. This guy is legit, and he has a lot of great weapons on his team. So as long as they stay healthy, especially him, I think they have a really, really good chance of making a deep playoff run despite not having that playoff experience.
Yeah, 100%. And then, like you said, that rematch against the LA Rams is probably one to watch. For the Cardinals. I mean, their first matchup was in the beginning of the season. Everybody's still figuring it out. Now, when you get, deeper into the season, you guys are established. You know what you're doing, both on offense and defense. Now we really get to see who is the main contender over there between these two. I think Super Bowl contenders, the Rams and the Cardinals. They're both doing extremely well. And right now, Dallas doesn't have Dak Prescott, so I don't know how well they can continue to keep up if he's unhealthy. So I'm going to need my Washington football team to step up while Dak is out.
What is up with that squad? Man. It's like, I feel like
it's horrible.
They have a great coach, right? I mean, Rivera's not someone to sneeze at.
Right. And they have a great defensive players, but, and a good defensive coordinator in Jack Del Rio. And they can't figure it out. I don't want to even talk about it. Let's move on. Let's move on to the Green Bay Packers. Ben, the Green Bay Packers. They were the ones who gave Cardinals their first loss of the season last night. So I want to talk to you about the Green Bay Packers. There's so much drama coming into this season with Aaron Rodgers. But he's been balling out since that abysmal performance in Week 1 against the Saints. They just defeated the Arizona Cardinals last night, again, in a nail-biter to find themselves 7-1. Now, I wanted to ask you, can Aaron Rodgers still lead the Packers to play in another Super Bowl, assuming this is his last year?
Well, at this point in his career, if they don't win another Super Bowl this year, it's going to be, questionable for Aaron Rodgers. But the people, we've seen the drama during the beginning of the season. A lot of people in bad situation when the table is set where they are, if things don't really turn the way they want to, it has a different outcome. The Packers are 7-1 without most of the weapons they have. And they have to be healthy to push for their playoff run this season. And I think, Aaron Rodgers is 38 next year and doesn't have time to rebuild another team around him. No, he has, I think, his contract this year, or I think he's still young. He can still play. No, remember he is a former MVP, and he can definitely ball out and carry the Packers to the playoffs again. And if, with all those distractions around him, and he can focus on his game, it's definitely he can push himself and carry the Packers to the playoffs and even to the Super Bowl. And I think he's a great quarterback. He's a great player as well. So let's give him the benefit of the doubt, and also give him the chance to redeem himself and also carry his team to another Super Bowl.
Yeah, man. Well, for me, Aaron Rodgers, the guy coming into the season was filling up airwaves with his his stance of not coming to play for the Packers, and then they get trumped in week 1. So I thought a lot of doubters were already popping up at that time. But I mean, to go 7-0 in the last 7 games, the guy is amazing. If only he was in the AFC, because the Chiefs are struggling so bad. The NFC is a lot harder to get out of, especially with Tampa Bay and Tom Brady over there, who's also rolling. Again, we talked about Dallas, who's also been rolling. So I think Aaron Rodgers can take them there, but they have more top teams to have to defeat in order to get to the Super Bowl, as opposed to the AFC, where it's wide open now that the Chiefs are struggling. So
speaking of the Chiefs,
yeah,
you mentioned the Chiefs, and we've seen how a lot of people are questioning Patrick Mahomes carrying the Chiefs to another Super Bowl contention. No, let's look at their Week 8 matchup. I think with their schedule, this will bring them and really bounce back in the winning form. I think they have a chance to really get that winning streak and to really give them confidence and show that they can still be in contention in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, no, they need to bounce back. They're currently 3-4, and right now the ones leading the way are the Bengals. The Bengals who defeated the Ravens, who's also looked good this year. So let's use that as a transition. I want to get you guys' pick for Week 8's game of the week. For me, this is my pick for the game of the week. The Bengals, again, as I mentioned, crushed the Ravens last week, and now we're on the top of the AFC North. Now, the other 2 teams in that same division, aside from the Ravens, are fighting to stay relevant, and that's the Browns and the Steelers, who happen to be going head-to-head this Sunday. So, guys, give me your pick for winner of this game between the Browns and the Steelers. What's the final score? Ken, let me start with you first.
Final score has to be 31-24 Browns. I mean, I'm just not a believer of Big Ben anymore. Like, he is like 3 years. 3 years ago, he should have retired, right? I believe Nick Chubb should be returning after sitting out for 2 games, and I think Chubb still, even with sitting 2 games, is still 3rd in the NFL in rushing yards, which is crazy. Right. I think he's going to have a big game if he plays. I think Myles Garrett is going to have some Big Ben sacks this game, and I think just like how I talked about Kyler Murray, right? I mean, like your team really depends on the health of your quarterback, and but at the same time too, like I think if you swapped out any like good quarterback with the Browns, they'd be number 1 in their division minimum. I think that's what the tough thing with Baker is, that he's a very serviceable quarterback. But I think if the Browns had someone that had like just a little bit of star power, let's say they had Matthew Stafford on that team.
That's what I was going to say.
Number 1, easily. Yeah. I think even if they had Tua, I think they'd be a little bit better than what they are.
Wow. Then Baker?
I think that's it's a big take, but then again, Miami is moving forward from him, so might be a good time. Might be a good time.
I feel you. How about you, Ben? Let me get your take for this one. Steelers and Browns. Who's the comes out victorious?
Oh, this is a huge game for teams, trying to keep pace with the Ravens and Bengals in the AFC North. Well, the Browns have injuries everywhere, but they still have defense that ranks 3rd in NFL in rush defense. If they keep Najee Harris contained, then the turnovers will come against Ben Roethlisberger. Now, this will be a close game. For me, it's going to be 27 Browns, Steelers 24.
Wow. Okay, so you're also going Browns, and I too am also going to go Browns. If Baker Mayfield's supposed to be playing, and I think he's going to have Beckham Jr. and Jarvis Landry for the first time together in a long time. So I'm going to go Browns as well. I think they're going to beat the Steelers 30-17. So let's go ahead and move on to our final question of the week. This is in regards to the list of the greatest 75 players in the league, that was completed last week. And of course, not everyone can make that list. There were some pretty notable players who surprisingly did not make the list. So I wanted to ask you guys, who's your favorite player who didn't make the top 75 list for the 75th anniversary of the NBA? Ken, let me start with you.
There's only one correct answer to this, and it's Dwight Howard. Come on, man. Yeah, he was only a small piece of the Lakers championship in 2020. But, I mean, just look at the rest of his resume. 8-time NBA All-Star, 5-time All-NBA first team, All-NBA second team in 2014, 3-time NBA Defensive Player of the Year from 2009 to 2011. People, really don't remember. I mean, whoever it is that created that 75 list, they don't recall how dominant Dwight was at that time. Yeah, he didn't have a post game, but the guy didn't need a post game. He was the guy was just absolutely unstoppable at the rim, but in both offense and defense. 5-time NBA rebounding leader, and also 2-time NBA blocks leader, and of course slam dunk champion. He could have been 2-time for that too, but he gave two of them. He gave one of them to Nate Robinson. So I mean, I feel like it's just Dwight Howard and Dwight Howard only.
Okay, that's a solid take. But Ben, how about you? Who's your take? Who you believe got snubbed from the list?
Well, I agree with Ken. Howard should be in the list, and remove AD on that list. He hasn't really proven that much for me. If you compare the prime Howard, it's definitely should be on the list. And another former Laker that I want to be on that list as well is Pau Gasol. Unquestionable. He had made an impact when he went to the Lakers. He was the second best player on the Lakers teams in the 2010s. They had 3 straight trips in the finals, and he was underrated and undervalued then. But the production he made really spoke for itself. He made 6 All-Star teams and 4 All-NBA teams to go along with it, and his 2 championship with LA. Talking about impact, he really made an impact during his stays in the Lakers, and also when he started from the Wolves. So definitely, I would root Pau and Howard and remove Davis and probably Damian Lillard. On those lists, give those seasoned players a chance to be on that list.
Great takes, man. I truly believe that. I think the one who definitely deserved to be on that list is Klay Thompson, 3-time NBA champion, one of the most elite scorers ever in history. I mean, 8, I think it was in one quarter, and I can go as far to argue that the Warriors would not have won those championships if Klay was not right beside Steph. They were putting a lot of duos on that list. Steph and Klay, one duo that needed to be on that top 75 list. And I can't wait till he gets back from his injury. But everyone, that's all the time we have for this week's episode. On behalf of everyone on our panel, thank you so much for joining us. Be sure to tune in again next week, and make sure to visit our websites at eaglenews.net and eaglenewslive.com, as well as net25.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at EagleNewsPH to join the conversation. For EBC Sports International, I'm EJ Gonzalez. We live in interesting times.